Hey y'all, I'm Brandon, and today on Baking with Brandon, we're making flan.
Flan is a super easy dessert to make. It does not require a lot of ingredients. You're going to need a half a cup of sugar for the caramel, a can of condensed milk, a can of evaporated milk, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 10 egg yolks for the custard. Our first step is making the caramel. Making the caramel is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is add sugar to a pan and then set the pan to medium-high heat. Now, when you're cooking the sugar, you want to make sure it's a nice even layer, and you want to watch the sugar to make sure that it doesn't burn. As the sugar starts to dissolve in the pan, you want to make sure you give it a good stir so you break up all of those bigger sugar crystals. As the caramel comes together, you'll notice that the sugar will start to turn darker brown. It's super important to keep the sugar moving during this process so that it doesn't burn anywhere in the pan. You also want to make sure you pay special attention that you take the sugar off the heat as soon as it turns into a caramel color so that it doesn't cook too long and burn on the flame. Now that our caramel's ready, I'm going to take it off the heat and I'm going to transfer it into the flan mold. Now, I make flan a lot, so I have this special mold that I use when I make flan. You do not have to use this. You can use any pan that you want. You just want to make sure that it has a lid. If it doesn't have a lid, then you're going to need to use aluminum foil to cover it when you pour the custard in later. Next up, we're going to make our custard base for the flan. The flan custard is super simple. It essentially has three ingredients. It has the egg yolks, the milk, and our vanilla extract. Now I like to whisk the eggs together first before I put them in the bowl just to make sure we get it nice and creamy. Once your egg yolks are in the bowl, you're going to add your milk mixture. Both the evaporated milk and the condensed milk are going to give a nice sweetness to the custard. For the condensed milk, you definitely want to make sure you scrape with a spatula so that you get all of that condensed milk that's super thick in the can. Next to our custard base, we're going to add our vanilla extract. This is going to give the flan a beautiful hint of vanilla and contribute to the overall caramel taste of the flan. Now that we have all our custard ingredients incorporated, we're just going to whisk everything together so all the ingredients blend. To bake our flan, the next thing we're going to do is set up a water bath. To get the creamiest flan possible, I definitely recommend straining your custard mixture into the flan mold directly over the caramel. Now it's super normal during this to hear some crackling because that caramel is still pretty hot, so don't freak out if you hear some pops and cracks in the pan. Now that we have all our custard poured in, we're just going to pop on that lid. Again, if your mold doesn't have a lid, then just use aluminum foil to cover the top. The reason we want to make sure we cover the top is because we're going to put this flan mold into a water bath and we don't want any water getting into the custard mix. So transfer your mold into a bigger baking pan. And you're just gonna add water into that baking pan until it covers about halfway up the side of the flan mold.
Now that our water bath is ready to go, we're gonna put the flan in the oven at 350 for an hour. When it's done, it's gonna be super duper hot. So we're gonna take the flan out of the water bath, but we're gonna let it rest for at least an hour.
Now that our flan is rested and it's cooled down a bit, we're gonna take that lid off. Look, it jiggles, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. You're gonna take a butter knife and just run it along the perimeter of the flan, just so you can help break it out of the mold. Now, I like to invert, so I'm gonna put the serving tray on top of the flan, and then I'm just gonna flip it over. Now get ready for that money shot.
And after all that, we have our flan. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Wow, it's super creamy, tastes just like caramel. Definitely should give this recipe a try. Super easy, doesn't take a lot of ingredients. Please feel free to leave a comment if you try the recipe. I hope you like and definitely subscribe, and thank you again for baking with Brandon.